Maya had just finished her late shift at the diner, the kind where the neon lights buzz louder than the silence on the street. She wrapped her coat tighter, clutching her small bag, and walked briskly toward the bus stop. The night was unusually quiet, except for the echo of her footsteps. Then, out of nowhere, a dark van pulled up. The doors flung open, and two men stepped out. Their voices were low, threatening. "Get in the car," one of them growled, grabbing her arm. Fear shot through Maya's chest. She twisted, trying to break free, but they were stronger. Her heart pounded so loudly she thought it might drown out her screams. The street was empty, no one to help. Then came the roar. At first, Maya thought it was thunder, but the ground vibrated with it. Headlights cut through the dark, one after another. Within seconds, motorcycles surrounded the van, massive bikes, chrome shining even under the dim street lamps. The men froze, caught off guard. A group of leather-clad bikers, their jackets bearing the crest of Iron Brotherhood, formed a tight circle. The leader, a towering figure with kind but piercing eyes, stepped forward. "You picked the wrong girl," he said, his voice calm but dangerous. The thugs let go, stumbling back. Maya's knees buckled, but one of the bikers gently steadied her. In that terrifying moment, she realized, sometimes protectors come from the most unexpected places. The thugs cursed under their breath, retreating toward the van. But the bikes blocked every possible escape. One revved his engine, the growl echoing like a warning. The leader, who the others called Bear, took a step closer. His presence alone was enough to make the men hesitate. "You thought you'd scare her?" Bear's tone was steady, not shouted, but it carried more weight than any threat. "You're outnumbered. Leave. Now." The thugs muttered, scrambling back into their van. Tires squealed as they sped away into the night. The roar faded, leaving behind only the faint hum of cooling engines and Maya's trembling breaths. She clutched her bag tightly, not sure whether to run, cry, or thank them. Her voice quivered. I didn't think anyone would come." Bear softened, lowering his voice. "No one walks alone out here. Not on our watch." The bikers exchanged glances like they had seen this kind of thing before. One, a woman with fiery red hair tied back under her helmet, stepped forward and gently draped her own leather jacket over Maya's shaking shoulders. "You're safe now," she said kindly. For the first time in what felt like hours, Maya exhaled. The adrenaline made her knees weak, and she almost collapsed. Bear caught her arm, steadying her. "Easy," he said, his gruff voice carrying unexpected gentleness. As the night settled again, Maya realized these weren't just bikers. They were guardians of forgotten streets, the kind of people who looked rough on the outside, but whose loyalty and kindness ran deeper than most would ever guess. What she didn't know yet was that their paths had crossed for a reason, one that would change her life in ways she never imagined. Bear and the bikers escorted Maya to a nearby diner that stayed open late. Inside, the smell of coffee and fried food filled the air. The waitress raised an eyebrow at the intimidating group but smiled once she saw Maya's pale face. They slid into a booth, Maya sandwiched safely between Bear and the red-haired biker, who introduced herself as Cass. A steaming cup of tea was placed in front of her, and Maya's shaking hands wrapped around it. For a moment, silence hung heavy. Then Bear spoke. "Those men, did you know them?" Maya shook her head. "No, I was just walking to the bus stop. They came out of nowhere." Her voice cracked. "If you hadn't shown up..." She stopped, unable to finish. Cass leaned in, her tone warm. "You don't owe them fear, and you don't owe us thanks either. We look out for people who can't fight back." Maya's eyes filled. She had grown up believing kindness was rare, that people only looked out for themselves. Yet here was a gang, tattooed, leather-clad, and rough on the outside, who had stepped in without hesitation. Another biker, a younger man named Jax, tapped the table. "You should let us take you home, just in case they're waiting." Maya hesitated, then nodded. Deep down, she knew she couldn't face the shadows alone tonight. As they rode through the empty streets, Maya clung to Cass, the night air whipping past her. But in that moment, the fear faded. For the first time, she felt not like prey, but like someone worth protecting. And somewhere deep inside, she wondered, why did strangers care more for me than people I've known my whole life? The bikers rode in formation, engines rumbling like thunder as they carved through the empty streets. Maya sat behind Cass, her arms wrapped tightly around her waist. With every turn, she felt less afraid and more shielded. When they finally pulled up to her small apartment building, Bear cut his engine first. The others followed, their headlights casting long shadows against the cracked walls. Maya slid off the bike, her legs shaky but steadier than before. "This is me," she said softly, pointing to the chipped blue door. Bear surveyed the street like a watchful hawk. "We'll walk you in." Inside, the apartment was modest but warm. A tiny couch, a stack of books, and a single framed photo of Maya with her late grandmother on the mantel. She flushed, embarrassed by how small her world was compared to theirs. Cass noticed the photo and smiled. "She raised you." Maya nodded, tears stinging her eyes. "She was all I had. Since she passed, it's been just me." The room fell silent, heavy with the weight of her loneliness. But then Jack spoke up, his tone light. "Not anymore. Tonight proved you've got more people in your corner than you think." Bear placed a business card on her table. It bore the emblem of the Iron Brotherhood. "If you ever feel unsafe, call. No questions asked." Maya's throat tightened. For years, she had fought to survive alone, believing no one cared enough to stand beside her. Yet here was proof, sitting in her living room. Family doesn't always come by blood. As the bikers prepared to leave, Maya realized something had shifted. She wasn't just a girl saved from danger. She was part of something bigger now. For the next few nights, Maya barely slept. Every creak outside her door made her heart race. But then, just before dawn one morning, she heard it, the familiar rumble of motorcycles outside. Peeking through her curtain, she saw them. The Iron Brotherhood parked at the curb, sipping coffee from paper cups, keeping watch. Her chest tightened. They hadn't just rescued her once. They were making sure she stayed safe. Later that day, Bear knocked on her door. "We've been hearing those men might be sniffing around again. You don't need to be alone in this." Maya hesitated, then whispered, "Why me? You don't even know me." Bear's eyes softened. "Because once someone did the same for us. Every one of us sitting on those bikes has a story. Times when nobody came, when we wished someone would. So now we are those people." Tears slipped down Maya's cheeks. For years she had carried her pain silently, convinced she wasn't worth protecting. But in that moment, she saw it clearly. Compassion doesn't ask for anything in return. It simply shows up. Weeks passed, and slowly the fear faded. The Brotherhood became her unlikely family. Cass taught her to ride, Jax fixed her broken door, and Bear made sure no shadows lingered near her street again. One evening, as the sun dipped low, Maya looked at the bikes lined outside and felt something she hadn't in years. Peace. She realized kindness comes in many forms. Sometimes gentle, sometimes fierce, sometimes wrapped in leather and roaring engines. And for the first time since her grandmother's passing, Maya knew she wasn't walking through life alone anymore.